Yeah, because I don't have a mirror, so I
Ah.
use my camera normally.
Wait, hang on. You haven't got a mirror. Let's back that up a moment.
No, I have one in my bathroom, but that's
Ah.
like it's like really little. I'm not gonna go and stand in the bathroom to do my makeup. I need like my desk.
Hello, everybody. We are live on the Mirror Gaming YouTube channel, ready for this week's Mirror Gaming walkthrough. And we've got lots of exciting stories to discuss with you this week. Most excitingly, Dead Island 2 actually came out. We've got some people on the podcast who have played the game for an extensive amount of time, so we're going to get deep into our impressions. Elsewhere even in the world of free-to-play shooters, we've got XDefiant is currently in its beta period. Got some impressions on that for you. And then later on, in roughly around about an hour's time, we're going to be reacting to the Nintendo Indie World Showcase. So very exciting indeed. But before that, producer Will, roll titles.
Everyone thinks he or she is the best football expert on the planet.
I'm playing for pride now. And my pride's gone.
We're very passionate people here.
Well, hello.
We're ready to come for the W, yeah?
These girls will smoke you, man.
Yeah. Yes, it's another edition of the Mirror Gaming Walkthrough. I am gaming content creator at the Mirror, Aaron Potter, and it's my pleasure to be joined by two very esteemed colleagues of mine. First up, we've got Jasmine Mannan, gaming content creator. How are you this week?
Hi, I'm glad to be back. I haven't been on the podcast in a while now, so finally here to share my spicy takes that many people don't agree with.
Yeah, we can't wait for that. Hopefully the box disc chat will come up again and we can get into a deep debate. But most excitingly, making what I believe is her debut on the Mirror Gaming Walkthrough, we've got mine and Jasmine's boss, senior gaming content creator. No pressure, we might get fired during the podcast today live. No, we won't. It's Shabana Arif. How are you doing, Shabana?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, pleased to be here.
Nice. Well, we're lucky to have you, especially because obviously you were our lead reviewer, in fact, our only reviewer on the Dead Island 2 review this week, which is our first topic. But before we get diving into that, I just want to say we are live broadcasting on YouTube right now. We're here until around about 5:30, and we've already got some people in the YouTube chat. So we've got gaming editor Nathan Bliss in there. He says hello. We've got our good friend Jason saying, "How's it going?" It's going very well, Jason. Thank you for tuning in on the pod. And then we've also got Scott McRae, regular news goblin, saying something that I don't know the reference to. So on that note, let's dive straight into Dead Island 2. Obviously, this is an open world zombie game that was in development for a long time now, very long time, probably before Jasmine was even born, if I had to guess. So it's the follow-up to 2011's Dead Island, and it was first announced in 2014. And for fans of the series, it's been a long time coming, but was it worth the wait? Undoubtedly. Or was it? So, Shabana, making your debut, the reason we've got you on is because you reviewed Dead Island 2 for us. I just want to know sort of how far does your history with the series go, and sort of what did you make of Dead Island 2 overall?
I played Dead Island when it first came out, and I absolutely loved it. I also played Riptide, and then I was looking forward to 2 for a decade, potentially. So while Jasmine was growing up and learning the ways of the world, I was just sitting around waiting for Dead Island 2 to come out.
Why is it always a jab at me? Why is it always a jab at me?
It's not a jab, you're just young, enjoy it.
You're just a baby, Jasmine, embrace it. It won't always be this way.
Oh, God.
In 10 years' time, you'll be waffling on about some other young whippersnapper. But anyway, so while you were running around doing God knows what, I was waiting for Dead Island 2. So it came out, and I will say I was a bit apprehensive because I don't know if you've got any Dying Light fans, and obviously the wait is not the same at all, but I loved the first game, and the second one was absolutely not what I wanted. So yeah, I was a bit nervous, especially actually because I played the first one co-op predominantly. So reviewing it, I knew that I was going to have a bit of a different experience because it's very different playing something like that single player when you're playing co-op. But it was actually great, and there's a bunch of improvements, again, from what I recall, because it's been 10 years since I played the first one. But yeah, it was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. And I know that you also had a copy because you did our preview for us. So what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I sort of came at Dead Island in a similar position to you, I think. I really enjoyed the first game. But again, this series seems to have sort of like a reputation in terms of what it promises in its cinematic trailers, and then it sort of fails to deliver on in the actual game. I remember the first Dead Island got announced with this really emotional slow-mo trailer, probably one of the most infamous gaming trailers, where a family are sort of, in slow motion falling out of a hotel trying to flee from zombies. And the original game, as I'm sure you'll agree, Shabana, didn't really have much to do with that. There was no emotion. It was just a good time to sort of get in there and bash about some zombie heads, really. And I really enjoyed that game. I've only dabbled in Riptide, but from what I understand, it was very much similar mechanically and visual-wise. Techland turned that game around very fast. And by comparison, yeah, I previewed Dead Island 2 just a couple months ago, I believe, and really enjoyed what I played. I feel like where Dambuster Studios, the new developer that this is ultimately fallen on now, what they've really understood is that the fun that inherently comes from just smashing zombies, not only in the head, but knees, arms, literally any human limb you can think of, you can smash it up and it'll probably, pour and gush out gore and blood, and it's all very satisfying in that way. I think in terms of like the main differences between the games, I was initially a bit taken aback at first that Dead Island 2 doesn't set you in a truly open world, if that makes sense, and it's more of like a hub-based ecosystem where you travel from one location to the other. But in a time in the gaming industry where almost every game is going open world, and you sort of bombard you with things to do, this is a relatively short game that doesn't outstay its welcome. It knows exactly what it wants to be, and I think that's really, really refreshing. So yeah, what did you make of, Shabana? What did you make of the sort of new approach to the world and kind of the setting of Hell A, as they call it in general?
I will say that when it was a tropical paradise, again, this was another thing where I was like, am I going to like this or not? Because there's quite a bit of escapism with Dead Island and Riptide during this. Again, clearly a luxury resort, right? Everything's like, I couldn't afford to go and stay there on my holiday. Let's just put it that way. So I was like, oh, this is great. And I'm bludgeoning zombies as well. So that was fantastic. So I was just like, is this going to work in LA? Like, there are so many zombie games already set up in cities and things. So the setting of Dead Island was always like a bit more fun than this tropical paradise. But I think it handled it really well, actually, because again, you're going in all these different mansions, and like there's a section with these influencers, and I think that also feeds into the tone of just being a bit more self-aware and just a bit more silly as well. Like there's a mission that you do early on, basically have to go to an influencer mansion, and you just see, as I mentioned in my review, like a lot of the environmental storytelling also feeds into that, just with regards to people just living out the apocalypse with drinks and drugs and whatever the hell else. But yeah, it's all very silly. It knows it's silly, and it's just a real good time. I really, really enjoyed it. And I think, yeah, the setting did work, actually. So yeah, and the hub stuff, again, is interesting, but I do like the fact that you can go back and do other stuff, because there's like so many places you can't get into initially, and you've got to go and, you need a fuse, because of course you do, because that's how everything works in video game world.
Video game logic, yeah.
Exactly. It's like, we'll get one and come back, and then this guy is selling them for like $1,500 a pop. You're just like, what? But yeah, I really liked it. I thought I was really surprised, actually. I wasn't sure how it would go, especially with the Dying Light 2 disappointment, and also just with regards to not playing co-op, but I had a blast, so I was really, really pleased. So if you like the first one, you'll definitely love this one, and if you haven't given it a go, do, basically. So is it going to be on Game Pass day one? I'm not sure if it's going to be available.
I don't believe it is a Game Pass title, because I looked into this myself, but even more so than that, maybe this is a whole different debate, that I know at least in the US, Dead Island 2 is a full $70 retail release. And I'm not sure, as someone who's played it for about 4 or 5 hours, whether or not I would recommend it for that price, especially when you've got other games like Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Star Wars is literally just around the corner now. But before we get in that, oh yeah, I cannot wait for Star Wars, everybody. I belong in that galaxy far, far away. But yeah, literally, we've got loads of comments pouring in on the chat, so thank you for commenting, guys. First of all, we've got Connor O'Neill in the chat. He says the Riptide CG trailer was also top tier too. Never saw it myself, but who made those trailers? Maybe we should find out. Then we've got Scott McCree in the chat calling out Shabana. He says it's no Dead Rising. Am I right? Shabana, are you a big Dead Rising fan then, is what I'm guessing?
Oh, I absolutely love Dead Rising, and Scott knows how much I like it, and I'm glad he's raised that point. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, we need a new Dead Rising on the go.
No,
we've
we
got
don't.
Maheen-
It sucks.
Oh, okay. We don't talk about Frank's big package on this podcast. Maheen Kasori's in the chat. He says the Flesh system is great. So yeah, Flesh is sort of this acronym system. I believe it's like, I'm not even going to attempt to remember what it stands for, but basically at any point, the NPC enemies, they're designed to just, smatter around. JD Incinerator also in the chat. Again, thank you for the comments, guys. The first Dead Island came out a few months after the dreadful Call of Juarez, the cartel. Whew, what a sad time that was to be a video game player. Does anybody on the pod remember that game, Call of Juarez?
Which I remember the one where you played, which I was pleasantly surprised by. And if this ends up being this one, I guess it'll be weird. But you had to, it was a Call of Juarez game, but you all had your own missions to be doing. Perhaps that was the conceit of the entire series. I don't know. But you had to like sabotage things or do your own thing. That's actually super fun. But I don't know if that was a cartel or not. So someone's going to have to tell me in the comments.
I think, the comments might correct me on this as well. But I think the cartel was the one where they sort of took it out of the old school Western setting and brought it up to the modern day, which left a lot of people to be disappointed. Yeah. And then we've got Luke Beardsworth continuing the Dead Rising love. Again, this is meant to be a Dead Island 2 chat, but I'm appreciating it. Luke says, I redid Dead Rising very recently and it made me very happy. Well, what else can you say? But Frank, is it Frank Castle? Yeah. Yeah, a really good game, and hopefully Capcom should make some more. But in terms of the Dead Island 2 stuff, Jasmine, I'm conscious that you've not spoken on this topic yet. Have you seen any trailers? Is this the sort of game that would appeal to you? Is there? I know you're primarily a multiplayer person these days, but have zombies in games ever done it for you?
No, not really. That was literally the first thing I was going to say. Is that zombie games are just not really like my thing. I will say though, the one thing I hate about games is when they're like really dark. And the whole premise of the game is that it's really dark, the environment's really dark, and then they use that to their advantage. And from what I've seen of Dead Island 2, it's like way brighter. And I know I always talk about this. I'm like, yeah, I love Fortnite because there's bright colors, but that's literally how I actually feel about games in general. Is like when there's bright colors, it just feels way more like interesting to look at. I don't know if that's just like the Gen Z in me or what, but seeing bright colors makes me feel way more like into a game. Because when stuff is dark, and then you're literally playing a game and you look in the screen and you can just see your own face. That's just, it's too dark. Do you know what I mean?
Terrifying.
Like, what's the point? What are you doing?
I know what you
I
mean.
like that.
It does look good. It's really bright, but I know exactly what you mean. I remember the first time I tried a Fallout game. I don't remember which one it was, but I was sat there playing it and it was just so drab. And I was like, what is this? And again, that really put me off. Skyrim's obviously quite colorful and what have you, but yeah, going into a Fallout game that looks so drab and gray, it's just like you say, it doesn't quite hit right. But Dead Island is very bright. There are obviously nighttime portions. Why do I keep bashing this thing? There are obviously nighttime portions as well. But yeah, again, it's just as nice and bright and sunny as the first one, which I think is part of the fun of why I like that one as well, because it's just a really fun, bright environment that you just go around smashing zombies up in. So
yeah, I think like that's the thing as well, is that you just never expect to see things like bright yellow and bright pink and bright red in like these types of games. You just expect it to all be like gray, and then you obviously always have some type of like greenery or something in there too, running around in forests or woods or whatever. So that would be like the splash of color is like the little bit of like grass or something. So seeing videos and pictures of Dead Island 2, I was kind of like, okay, is this like the Fortnite of the zombie game universe? Is this like, does this mean I have to play it?
Yeah.
And it just looks way more like satire. And I know that's what Shabana spoke about in her review. And that's what kind of draws me to it. It's like, I hate zombie games where it's like the whole point of it is you're meant to actually feel like you're in a zombie apocalypse, because it's just not how I'm going to feel when I'm playing a game like that.
Yeah,
So
I remember speaking ahead of the preview to the game's director, David Stenton, and he described the series as like a paradise gone to hell. And I think that's where they got the whole LA thing before, because obviously it's called Dead Island and it doesn't actually take place on an island. So in terms of their North Star, that was the kind of thing they were shooting towards. But in terms of like the Brown era of games, yeah, the PS3 and 360 left you a lot wanting there. Your comments are still rolling in, guys. Again, thank you for leaving some comments. Scott McRae says you would hate the 360 era, peak grey era, and he's not wrong. We've got Maheen Kisor as well leaving a comment. He says, I like games with bright colors too, and not a lot of text because I can't read. He can't read, but he can type, so work that one out, viewers. Connor O'Neill in the chat says GTA 4 was all shades of grey. That is a good point, actually, because I went to replay GTA 4 via Xbox compatibility a couple of months back, and you forget how sort of grey and brown that world is as well. JD Incinerator says, I think Fallout 3 is greyish. That could be the Fallout game that Shabana was talking about earlier. New Vegas was miles more interesting in terms of colour, but the post-apocalyptic setting seems to mean gravelly landscapes. Yes, exactly. So keeping up with the Dead Island 2 chat, obviously, Shabana, you brought up earlier that Dying Light 2, which is obviously made by the developer of the original Dead Island, Techland. They're based in Poland. And in the time it's taken the publisher Deep Silver to get Dead Island 2 out, Techland have released not only one, but two Dying Light games. So I'm just wondering, I think the main difference between Dead Island 2 and Dying Light 2 would be how movement is handled. So what can you say about the comparison between those games there? Sort of, does the lack of parkour end up holding Dead Island 2 back, would you say?
I think Dead Island 2, because I did give it 4 out of 5 because, I mean, a 5 is like The Last of Us, right? But I still had a blast with it anyway.
Well.
But the combat is the combat's quite clunky, right? It's like, and again, I am not great at parrying and things. So you could, in theory, if you can get your timing right, go through this game without getting too overwhelmed. Because what's great is when you counter something effectively and you hit the button, you get an animation. And that animation, from my experience, does not get interrupted. Like, let's say there's a horde of zombies around you and I start an animation over here. I'm not going to start getting walloped and getting really irritated because it just lets it play out. So you could easily go through, which I don't think that was a mechanic in the first game, and just not, so the clunky combat, if you will, isn't that bad because of these other mechanics that you've got going on. And there's a ton of environmental traps you can do as well. So there's like, you know, canisters of water kicking around, fuel cans everywhere. So, and if you have like an electric weapon or a fire weapon, you can set it all up. But yeah, the combat for me is quite clunky. It's obviously a very different game to Dying Light. That's just fun just to run around the place in. The flying kick and stuff is okay. That's a bit reminiscent of Dying Light. But I think ultimately you kind of have to accept the type of combat you're getting with that game. Similarly to Skyrim, it's not the most fluid, great combat system in the world, is it really? But it's super fun anyway, I think. So I think they have got mechanics in that make the combat a bit more manageable with the counter and stuff, which I kind of managed to pull off most of the time. But again, I'm not great at like the parrying and things. I'm like the timing, it looks like I'm doing it right, and then I'm just not, and I just end up getting walloped. I don't know how you got on with that, but I think that certainly helps. So I think it has built on the, I guess, the flaws of the first game there, that just to improve the combat, but it's not, you know, it's not the same basically because you don't have that, but there are allowances for that to make it a bit more fluid. And I'm so sorry I keep hitting this. I'm just
That's all right. You're having an argument with your microphone. Me and Jasmine Headsets, we always have arguments with our microphones. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it's interesting you should mention about combat, because I went basically in anticipation of Dead Island 2 coming out. I did dip into Riptide and I played it for a couple of hours. And Dead Island Riptide doesn't have a block function, which, coming from Dead Island 2, like, that came in so handy, because otherwise it's so easy to get surrounded by zombies. Because unlike a series like Dead Rising, where you're just absolutely mowing through like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of NPC enemies, to the point that there's a little counter in the bottom that tells you how many you've killed across the course of the game. In Dead Island 2, at least in my experience, if there's like 4 or 5 zombies that are like within a foot away from you, it's very easy for you to sort of get overwhelmed. And until I was able to level up my character and sort of, you know, dive into the card system, which we haven't really talked too much about yet, but basically the more your character levels up, you can access these cards, which you can insert to your deck, which can affect the different abilities you have, be that gaining a bit more health back when you you know, are able to parry correctly, other little tweaks like that, which I think are good additions to Dead Island 2. But were it not for that, I think I would have been eaten several times over, 100%. Yeah, so Shabana, I know in your review, and obviously everybody should go to themirrorgaming.com, read the Dead Island 2 review.
Or .co.uk, you can go there as well.
Or .co.uk as well. Why don't we say that? In fact, make that your first stop, everybody. Yeah. So many thoughts going around, but thank you very much for that. Yeah, I noticed that you mentioned that you tried out multiple different characters, and I'm wondering if you really noticed the difference between them. Obviously, you wouldn't have been able to complete the game using all 3 because nobody's got that amount of time to sink into one game. Not that I know of, anyway. So, yeah, what's your impressions of the card system, and were you able to, you know, see the differences between the characters? Because there's 6 Slayers available.
Well, I'm so glad you asked. So basically, like you say, you can get overwhelmed very fast. So with Dying Light, let's just use that as an example. You can kind of keep an eye on the zombies and just do your stuff, and you know when they're coming from. It was kind of weird, and I can only compare it to like a tide coming in on the beach. Like you scope the area out. You're like, okay, I'm gonna have a little loot now. And you have a little look down, and then suddenly there's like zombies everywhere. And even if they're just shambling in, it's just really odd. Like normally you can kind of keep tabs on them, but they did start flowing in, I found, which is why the parry and counter system is so important. So I actually started out with Amy. So when I played the first game, I tend to sort of opt for faster, lighter characters that obviously then you have to sacrifice some measure of like tank ability, right? So I thought I'd be fine because I was with Dead Island and Riptide. Maybe I'm just old now and my reflexes aren't what they used to be. So I started out and I died right outside. I don't know how much I don't want to talk about too much, but there's an area that you go into, not the first setup part, but after that. And I immediately got overwhelmed and I just died like twice out there. And I was like, am I this rubbish at games now? Like what is my life? And then I started again and I gave Carla a go and Danny, who's the one I'm doing now, she's my favorite. And that made a massive difference. So I'm obviously a bit better now with the parrying and what have you, but that was a big difference at the outset, specifically for me. I mean, if you've got it down with the dodging and things, you could probably just pick anybody and be absolutely fine. But yeah, I definitely died more than I was expecting right at the start with Amy, the faster character. And again, I think the card system is really good. It obviously separates everything into abilities or whatever the hell else are all called, and you can get you can just choose things to complement one another. So I use a flying kick a lot just to get some space. I love that in Dying Light as well. And then you can get another card that supplements that with additional damage and stuff. And similarly, there's like a ground pound, and you can supplement that as well. Similarly with the card, so you can kind of build your character however you want to based on the stuff that you use. And there are some cards that are specific to certain slayers as well. So I don't know how many you had to go with, but it could be like Danny and somebody else. I didn't play any of the male characters, so I don't know what their names are. Ryan, potentially. I don't know. Chad. So...
Almost certainly.
But yeah, how many did you give a go? Did you notice any differences between the ones that you picked?
I didn't really know because I haven't, for my sins, I only had time to play one. I'm just busy diving into other things. But I did get a chance to obviously swap in and swap out the different cards, because in addition to the drop kick, I feel like that, at least for me, that was one of the earliest abilities that I could acquire. And having had so much fun with it in Dying Light and a little bit in Dying Light 2, it's just too good to pass up, because like you said, it's good for clearing space. And then the moment I tried swapping that in for a different ability, similar to dodge, really, there's I believe it's you might even have to sacrifice your parry to dodge or something. But when I was playing it a couple of days ago, I remember I didn't. The building blocks are there for you to basically customize your character within the Slayer system. But I think it's worth saying that I believe that each Slayer comes with 2 unique cards. But in my experience, just from the character that I played, again, it was a female character. Maybe it was Danny as well. It wasn't anything too drastic. So very much the building blocks are there. And that is the main hook for Dead Island 2 over the original, really, is how the sort of upgrade system works. So that's why we're spending so much time talking about it, guys. So we got JD Incinerator on the chat. I believe they've also played the game. He says, I personally relished when the firearms were introduced. So this is an aspect of the game that I haven't actually, in my where I've got in the game, I haven't actually come across any firearms yet. But I'm pretty sure they would come in handy with the boss fights in this game, because they are absolute hit sponges. I don't know if you'd agree, Shabana, just wailing upon these boss enemies, and then they become permanent enemies later on. So they're not just one-offs.
Yeah, so again, it's similarly, I mean, whenever you have a zombie game, right, you have all your different types of zombies and what have you, and then they start bringing the scarier ones in afterwards. But I mean, even in the first one, I didn't really use the guns that much. I think I just because it's a shame, I'm not some sort of psycho, I promise, but it's a shame to use the gun when you can hack a zombie to pieces and watch its flesh flying off and jaws coming off and eyeballs hanging out.
I'm going to say that you definitely are a psycho, because I'm the complete opposite. I prefer to go from afar, shoot, and watch the heads explode from a distance, so that I don't have to see eyeballs and other weird dangly bits. That's probably your dream, watching eyeballs Fallout.
I'm an
has,
abject coward usually. So for example, if I'm playing Skyrim, while I am like sneaking around, I don't want to I want to just stand back and just ping you. Like if I can cheese my way through a fight without getting anywhere close to somebody, I will do it. But you kind of, because of the nature of these games and it's predominantly melee, you kind of have to get into the swing of things, as it were. So by the time, guns and stuff do open up, you're having such a fun time just hacking things to pieces. And especially when you get the mod. So like you can, let's say you've got a puddle of water and you've got one zombie walking through it and you've got like an electric machete. If you zap them and other ones are close by, it will then spread to all of them. So I love, like, again, just with Dying Light, like if you can get certain things, so like some zombies in, like a zombie flesh or what have you, and just watching them all come down into one point and then throwing in a Molotov and just standing back and watching them roast alive and getting all that sweet XP is very satisfying. But like you can sort of start things off in this with like your fire machete or like your electric hammer or just clubbing people to death. So I think there's enough variety with regard to the melee weapons that it's actually really fun. So even though you're given the option to, and again, because of the environmental stuff, you don't have to get in, because again, I'm very much a coward. I like to just do things from a distance and not risk getting hurt. But there's enough fun stuff going on in there that you can set up environmental traps, have your fun, and then back out a bit and then just watch them all die with something that you've set up. So there is definitely room for that. But I just think with a game like that, where that's kind of the fun is crafting weapons and like watching, the effects of that pan out. I definitely think try the firearms if you want to, but like melee is where it's at for me with Dead Island, I think, just because of all the mods and stuff that I've been crafting. So
yeah, Dead Island 2 is clearly, you're pushed towards the melee system, right? Because they've put so much effort into it with the flesh system, the crafting system, as Shabana said, to the extent that I was actually surprised that firearms were in the game whatsoever, because in the original Dying Light, obviously made by Techland, who made the original Dead Island, which I've said before, but hence why it's relevant. You didn't get access to firearms until like a long way through the game. And that felt like you were almost breaking it in a certain way. Like, even though ammunition was scarce, I felt like, if all else fails, if I'm about to literally die, then I could always rely on my firearms. And then I thought it was interesting that Techland removed firearms entirely from Dying Light 2. I didn't get a long way through that game, but I know it's not there. But yeah. I will say one point that Dying Light 2 has over Dead Island 2 is the Rosario Dawson factor, because Rosario Dawson needs to be in more games, everybody, not just Dishonored and Dying Light 2.
Was she in Dying Light 2? Who was she in there?
She plays a character. I didn't get to her whilst in the playthrough that I played, but she's all over the trailers. I actually do have, after having played Dead Island 2, I do have Dying Light 2 installed on my PS5 at the moment. So I'm sort of in that zombie mode now. And I'm sort of intrigued. But talking about characters, I guess the final point I would bring up with Dead Island 2, Shabana, is what do you make of the story? And I'm being generous just by calling it a story, I almost want to say, at least from what I played. But feel free to tell me that I'm absolutely wrong. And there's
a story.
Well, exactly.
I didn't even know there was a story. I thought it was just like this sandbox, go in and bash zombies about and run around thing. I didn't even know there was a story.
Well, the story, similarly to the first one, is there's a zombie outbreak and you have to get out. Basically, that's the story. So essentially, do you need more than that? And on your way out, there's obviously like, oh, this old man is kicking around and you need to help him or whatever. So you can do these things if you want to, but the story is that you're just trying to escape. Similarly with Dead Island,
where are you escaping from? Like from Earth? I'm so confused.
LA.
So the zombie apocalypse, interestingly, it's not global. So when Dead Island came out, it was just in this island basically,
okay.
And they're gonna like nuke the place or whatever. That wasn't Dying Light, was it? I'm pretty sure that was Dead Island, the original one. And you have to get out before the government are like trying to keep it under wraps and kill everybody. And you need to just leave because you're immune. Basically, that's the whole point of Dead Island. Dead Island. The 4 lead characters in that one are all immune. So they kind of like use that as a bargaining chip to get off, and they want to obviously escape before everywhere is incinerated along with the zombies. So it's not like a global apocalypse at this stage. It's just, whatever. And one of the characters from Dead Island actually is in the second one, Sam B. It's Sam B, the guy who does the, at the beginning of the game. Well, that's his name basically, but the one that does the video, music video that Scott loves so much from the first game. So he'll be pleased. But he comes in there and he's like, oh, I've been through this before and all this business. So you basically want to get out, and you find out what they've been doing about the zombies, the government, along the way. So you kind of just need to escape this area to survive, essentially. Basically, that's a story. So you're not playing this for the story. Like I said, it's not The Last of Us. So if you like bashing zombies in and doing it with friends, then you should play Dead Island 2.
That is true. That is true. I know we had a comment in the chat earlier. Apologies, I can't remember who said it. It might have been Jason, actually, that we're asking if we were going to do a Dead Island 2 stream. I will say, watch this space. Watch this space. I'm not making any promises now because I haven't got that authority, but you never know. You never know. So Nathan is in the YouTube comments. He makes a good point, actually. He says zombie games / shows are so popular now. The Last of Us, Resident Evil, Dead Island, Walking Dead. Why are they so popular, do we think?
Have they not always been popular, though?
This is what
they've been around for decades. They've been around for decades, these types of games. Like, they've always been there. The Walking Dead was like going on for like 13 seasons or something. Like, they're always going to be popular. I don't think if they're like rising in popularity now. I think it just seems like that because the Last of Us TV show came out, and then that's what people are like clinging to.
And Resident Evil 4 remake, we just had
yeah,
that
but that's like Resident Evil has been a franchise since before I was born, as everyone is going to say. So like that's already been popular. So even The Last of Us is already a thing. It's been a thing for ages. It's just that they made the TV show and it made it more like mainstream in the sense that people who don't normally play games started watching it and got really into it and probably started seeing all of these like other games and stuff. It made it seem like it's become popular now, but I feel like zombie games have always been popular and probably will be for many, many years to come. Like, people just always love bashing zombies' heads in. Maybe it's because of the same reason as Shabana. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I would just say, and I love how Shabana's got that reputation now. Anyway, let's keep that up for as long as we can. I think the thing is with zombie games is that it's like everyone can agree that zombies are fun to kill, right? So as long as you're being given creative ways to do it, and that the developers are providing creative ways to do it, be that through crafting and things like that, it's a guilt-free way of having fun and getting in and slaughtering. Exactly. So anyway, guys, that was our Dead Island 2 discussion. As mentioned earlier, you can read Shabana's review live on themirror.co.uk, not themirror.com. God knows what that will send you. And the game does come out this Friday. So will you pick it up? Let us know if you're watching. If you played the game already, maybe via preview or maybe via demo, or you plan on picking it up, let us know in the comment section below. But moving on to our second story, and the main reason why Jasmine is here on this episode. I'm joking, of course I'm joking. But as our resident multiplayer expert. So XDefiant, previously known as Tom Clancy's XDefiant, is a fast-paced arena shooter in the vein of Call of Duty and features factions of characters from a multitude of Ubisoft series doing battle in 6v6 team-based battles across a variety of maps and game modes. Is this starting to sound familiar? It was first announced in 2021 with the Tom Clancy name attached. However, it was rebranded after the scope of the game was expanded to include Ubisoft titles outside of the Tom Clancy subseries, including Far Cry, I believe. I believe the medic character in there is from Far Cry. So obviously we had gaming editor Nathan and Matt Aldous stream a bit of XDefiant live on the Mirror Gaming YouTube channel yesterday. You can still watch that now and see what they made of the game. Me, Jasmine and Shabana, we were enjoying their stream in the chat. We've got some big impressions, but Jasmine, what can you tell us about XDefiant so far as our resident shooter expert? Are you getting good vibes off of it so far?
No. I feel like I say that a lot.
Tell us what you really think.
I feel like you always come to me, you're like, yeah, Jasmine, give us your opinion, and it's just really bad. So sorry. But
look, I'm the Xbox Game Pass guy, so don't give me that. I'm used to being the villain.
I don't really like it. I just think, like, does the world need another Call of Duty copy? Like, does it? Be for real with me right now. Does it? No.
Well, I think Sony needs one, that's for sure. But I don't know about the world, but Sony certainly needs to sort its stuff
But this is the thing, is that, like, realistically, no, I'm not going to start going into Warzone.
Do it.
I mean, that's what we're here for. We want to hear it. Yeah.
But this is the thing, like, realistically, there shouldn't be space for something like XDefiant because Warzone should just work, right? Like, Warzone should just be a good game. But then now there is space for stuff like XDefiant because Warzone is really crap. So then they're like, okay, quickly, we need to capitalize on this market of Warzone players who are feeling really miserable because Warzone is so crap. So they bring out a game that's basically identical to Warzone. Like literally, if you go back and watch the stream from yesterday that Nathan and Matt were playing in the closed beta, it's like identical to Call of Duty. And it's like, they did say, they were like, oh yeah, it plays a bit more similarly to Valorant, but I don't think that. I haven't played it though, but from what I could see, I don't think it plays similarly to Valorant at all. It looks pretty much identical to Call of Duty. And it is cool to be able to incorporate characters from across the franchises that people love and stuff like that. But it's kind of like, we just don't need more first-person shooter games. We should be making the first-person shooter games that already exist better and fixing them, because like otherwise we're going to end up with a ton of these games that are going to come to like for example Apex Legends is one where there's so much potential and people just fell out of love with it so quickly. Like it's only been around for like 3 or 4 years now and people are already like giving up on it. They don't want to play it anymore. People just aren't happy with it anymore, when realistically like it's a good game. Like it just needs to listen to its player base a bit more. Same with every single first-person shooter. Maybe this is just the first-person shooter curse. But yeah, if I go too much into this, we'll be here for hours, I swear. So I don't know. I don't know with XDefiant.
I think you make a good point, because the problem is at the moment is obviously the market's being saturated. There's a lot of these free-to-play hero shooters. Paladins, obviously, as I'm sure the viewers would have heard, is the support for the Nintendo Switch version for that game is being shut down, and it's XDefiant. Who? Everybody should be playing Paladins. But
Be devastated.
I'm absolutely during the pandemic, Paladins was like one of the only cross-play games that me and my friends would play, because Overwatch wasn't free to play at the time, and Paladins is basically an Overwatch copy for the people that don't know.
Yeah, but Overwatch is free to play now. Like I don't just give it a go. Just come on, Aaron, get on Overwatch.
Yeah, I did play it before, and I did play May really because I like my ice-based characters, Subterranean combat and stuff, and I did have a good time with that. But obviously, Jasmine, you made a good point. That do we need another one? No, but the problem is that Ubisoft are looking at literally the mountains of cash the likes of Epic are making with Fortnite, the likes that Activision is still kind of making with Warzone 2.
Don't get me started on that battle pass. Don't get that. It's literally in a beta and they've already got a battle pass. Like it's like battle passes are coming to every single game. Like I don't know if you guys played Multiverses, which basically never came out of beta, like because it was just such a long beta. And even that had a battle pass that you could pay for when it was in beta, because they knew that they could capitalize off of these people that were in love with these like characters from their childhood and whatever. And it's like, why does every single game have to have a battle pass now? I get it's obviously like it's an easy way to make money in a sort of era of people hunting for free to play stuff. It's an easy way to make money. It's like good value as opposed to buying skins directly from the shop. In the case of most games, like for example Fortnite, you're spending like a tenner to get a battle pass, you get a ton of skins, whereas you'd probably spend that same tenner once to get one skin in the shop. I get it, but it's like I'm seeing them so much that it's just starting to gross me out now. When I see a battle pass, I'm like, ugh, of course.
But would you not
battle pass in this game?
Do you not think, Jasmine, because before the battle pass system came along and was sort of popularized by Fortnite, it was more sort of, we're going to put in these microtransactions like piecemeal. It was like, we're going to Overwatch used to have a loot box system where you would buy loot boxes, not knowing what you'd get. So I'm playing devil's advocate a bit here, and I don't really play too many multiplayer games, but Fall Guys, it was a game that I got into that it does a battle pass system. And there's no denying that being drip fed, the sort of getting that dopamine hit of, I'm hitting the next stage of the battle pass, I'm hitting the next stage of the battle pass. It does, it does benefit the wider player base, because the whales that invest in it, there's always like a free tier. Even Diablo 4, which is a game that comes out in June that I'm really excited for, that's going to have a battle pass. So I agree with you that it's infectious, but what's the alternative?
I think with battle passes, I don't know if it's just because I'm really picky, but I don't get that sort of like that rush that you sort of spoke about in terms of like, when I get unlocking different tiers of it and I'm like, I finally got this and this and this. I just feel like the quality of a lot of, and this might be biased in just the games I play, it might be that a game I don't play has an amazing battle pass, but the battle pass stuff typically isn't amazing. It's like, you can see the quality of skins or cosmetics or whatever else that games put out through their shop. And then you see the quality of the cosmetics in a battle pass. And it's just like, like it's bad. I hate it. And I'll literally, sometimes it comes to the end of the season in Fortnite, and then my friends will be like to me, have you finished the battle pass? I'm like, no, I'm not even close. I'm still like level 5 or something. And they're like, okay, yeah, time to grind, finish the battle pass. And then when I'm grinding, I'm kind of like, why am I grinding? All of these skins are like so rubbish, they're so terrible. So there's no point.
So hang on. So you're paying for the battle pass and then you're not doing anything with it. This is why it exists, to get people like you.
I do end up always, especially with stuff like Fortnite, where you get your V-Bucks in it so you can then buy the next one, right? Like I
Right.
always grind enough to get enough V-Bucks to buy the next one. But then in stuff like Overwatch, for example, I typically play Overwatch enough every season to not have to worry about grinding at the end of the season anyway, because I'm an addict. But I just think that like the quality of the cosmetics in the Overwatch Battle Pass are like really, really poor compared to the quality of the cosmetics that they're putting out in the shop. You can just see they're churning out these low quality cosmetics so that they can sell a battle pass, and then they're tricking you into thinking, wow, you're getting so much good value stuff. But realistically, you're probably not going to use a lot of those cosmetics because they're so hideous. In my opinion, no one jump down my throat if you disagree, because that's my opinion. I think they're hideous.
What I will agree with you on is first-person shooter games where they offer cosmetics as a perk, because like I get that other players are going to be able to see you, but like what really is your own incentive?
Yeah, that's another thing. Is that like
Fortnite,
I
you
have
can
a
actually
skin
see if you're John
in
Cena.
Overwatch, and no one can see me. Like, I mean, everyone can see me, but I can't see it.
But I can.
Yeah, I can't see my own
back in the
skin.
day, Jasmine, when you were maybe not even alive,
in your parents' eye,
the
Yeah,
Xbox
right, okay.
had an avatar system, and you could buy clothes and stuff for your avatar.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
right. So
I was alive.
but just you were like in your earliest memories, remember seeing your dad playing it or something. Jesus. So but people would buy like clothes for their avatar. That wasn't a game you could play or do anything with it. It was just so people could see you. So similarly with like weapon skins and things. So there is that kind of like peacocking around and letting people see what you've got. And again, that's why, sometimes if it's a really difficult to earn skin, then it's like, a badge of like, oh, look what I got.
With the
But then you can
Xbox
buy
thing,
it as
you
well.
can still see it too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but not regular. Unless you're going into that screen, it's not necessarily something you're going to see on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So unless I go into like, oh, well, I'm going to dress her in today and put things on it, I'm not going to have any real involvement with that at all. It's just money down the drain, essentially, just so you can wear like, oh, I've got a Left 4 Dead hat or whatever it is. So similarly with that, I mean, like Aaron was saying, before battle passes came along, I mean, there was that whole thing with the first microtransaction. Was it a horse or horse armor? That whole
horse armor for Diablo or World of Warcraft, wasn't it?
Yeah. So people are always going to churn out stuff like that. And it always is just how to get money from people. So the loot boxing went on. Then we started getting the legal issues I know you guys talked about before in the podcast. And then it's like, well, how else do you get money from people? And like you say, if you do put the best stuff in the battle pass, what do you put in the item shop? So there is a level of like, cynicalness here you have to take, that's not a word, but you have to take into account because of it's a business, right? So similarly, there are lots of games and shooters, but if Fortnite hadn't have been like, well, Call of Duty's, whatever, I want to try and compete with it, we wouldn't have had Fortnite, right? So, and now we've obviously got a position with Sony, they kind of need, because they had Killzone back in the day, but they need to think about the 10-year span of COD and what they're going to do after that now. So you kind of always have to try your hand to try to compete with these things. And then obviously then the issue comes with, well, can you keep up with this stuff? Can you get good content out? Can you keep the seasons and going with battle pass and money coming in, especially if it's free to play? So Fortnite's kind of set the bar now where you have to have a free to play game. Aaron, you were saying you got into Paladins because it was free to play, right? And Overwatch wasn't. So you kind of have to make that money back somehow. So I think that what Fortnite has done, I guess it depends on how you look at it. It's either a positive or a negative, depending on how you like to play. But you kind of have to have a free-to-play shooter now, and you have to make your money back through a battle pass. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. But you need people to keep spending that money. And obviously, Fortnite's now the new COD. Like back in the day, Call of Duty was like the shooter to beat, right? And now it's Fortnite, and COD's they went for Battle Royale and they're trying to get in on that whole thing there. But I think it is difficult and everyone's always going to try their hand on it. And especially if you're free to play, you kind of have to make that money back. So obviously, Diablo 4, you're going to pay for the battle pass. So I start to question
Yeah.
things there.
That's even worse.
Well,
Games
no,
that,
well,
are
exactly.
paid, that have paid battle passes.
So I
Yeah.
got to interview the one of the game directors of Diablo 4, and that interview is live on themirror.co.uk on the site. And he did mention that like it's all purely cosmetic. It's for people that, like Shabana was saying, wants to peacock for things. I'm loving the battle pass chat, by the way. This is an XDefiant conversation, just in case anyone's aware. But I love these little wells that we're going down. And in terms of the back in the dayness of Call of Duty, remember when people would buy, well, Activision would sell you like individual map packs for games, and they would literally lock off people because obviously you couldn't play with people if you didn't have the maps correctly. Little tidbit there, like that would definitely not fly these days. So I think if the battle pass as well, the people that pay for the battle pass, they subsidize the ability for the developers to just release, or in theory release, new maps, new content free for everybody else. But plenty of comments coming in. Strap in, everybody, on the XDefiant debate. We've got who have we got? We've got Maheen Kisor saying, give us the shady takes, Jasmine, here for the chaos. And I feel like Jasmine's delivered on that. Skyrifter in the chat says, hopefully they put Ubisoft Quartz NFTs in the game. I'm not quite sure how truthful he's being there. Didn't they sell like 2 or 3 of those? Then we've got Connor O'Neill, who's very much agreeing with Shabana, which is a whole other debate that I'd like to get into. He says Sony should just resurrect Killzone and be done with it. Where's Killzone? Where's Mag? Where's my favorite game, Resistance 3, which you can sort of see behind me there, hiding behind a Killzone man, actually. Then we've got JD Incinerator in the chat. Says the only defiant thing about XDefiant is how UB defies making many games these days that are actually great. Ooh, shots fired indeed. And then we've got our very own Matt in the chat that says, I don't think we haven't got any Call of Duty games other than Call of Duty. Just a bunch of games that try but fail at being up to the standard. So we've never had a game that has rivaled COD. But then Shabana said in the discussion, Matt, Fortnite.
Yeah, Matt,
Fortnite
get
is
a grip.
pretty much, yeah, come on. Have you heard of this game called Fortnite? It's like an indie up-and-comer. Yeah. We got JD. We got JD Incinerator. It says last great Ubisoft game was Watch Dogs 2. I won't disagree with you there. Matt saying Overwatch, Apex, and Fortnite are nothing like Call of Duty. Anyway, the comments are rolling in. Thank you very much for being with us, guys.
Fortnite is nothing like Call of Duty? Don't get me started, Matt. Don't get me started.
I think
they're not, but that's good though, because what I'm saying is people your age, Matt, I'm not going to put myself in that bracket. people of that age. They played those games, and then Fortnite came out. You're like, what are these kids up to with their free-to-play Fortnite and all these crazy skins and what have you? But that's what people play these days. That's why it's popular. That's what's making money. That's why Call of Duty had to change and copy Fortnite. And that's why Battlefield, my shooter of choice back in the day, now sucks and no one plays it anymore. And where is Bad Company 3? Okay,
wait, here we go.
My thoughts are
Fortnite is not Call of Duty. Are you serious? It's a cartoon game. This is what I was just going to say.
Game.
I hate people that say games aren't like serious because they're too cartoony or because they're too because the stylistic way that
choices.
they've gone is just different.
You hate Matt is what you're saying. I think we can all get on board with that.
I'm sorry. No, I don't. No, but this is the thing, is that just because a game is cartoony or it's got bright colors or it's got anime characters in it, like Scott was saying, it doesn't mean that it's not like a real game. And I get why people say that, kind of, maybe. No, I don't actually know. It's still a good game, and you're just being put off of it because you think, oh yeah, I want to play COD. I want to be a big serious man going to war playing COD. But
I love this. Wait, come on, I'm just gonna back Jasmine up very quickly. I promise, and I'll be quiet.
Yeah, go for it.
But what we need to remember about COD is that yes, we had a serious story, and don't get me started on the whole military aspect of it all. But we've got a serious story and what have you. But let's be real. When you were playing multiplayer COD, it's always 12-year-olds. The joke was there are always kids in the chat. So yes, it was an 18
Mum, get
game
the camera.
with a serious story. But ultimately, there were always kids playing COD, and that's why nobody liked being in the lobbies or having open chat there, because it's always a bunch of crazy little toxic children running around playing a game that they shouldn't have had access to. So Fortnite is a game that's a bit more child friendly. Again, you don't get killed, you kind of whatever it is that happens, and then you zap back in again. Because I was speaking to a friend of mine about letting his child play Fortnite, and I was like, well, it's not violent like Call of Duty. It's different. You don't splatter and die, so it's more child appropriate, but ultimately the same age group oh my God, that was playing cards when they shouldn't have been, is now just playing Fortnite. So we've always had this little pool of kids playing games that they shouldn't have. So it wasn't as if Call of Duty lobbies were just adults maturely. Oh, how are you? What do you think about this Afghanistan situation as you're running around the place? It's always been little upstart children kicking around, annoying people. And now they're just doing that in Fortnite, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
The
I
end.
guess in that sense, Fortnite is a more appropriate setting for 12-year-olds to sort of like
Yes.
kill each other or not kill each other. Personally, I'd say Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3. There's a lot of fun. If
It
not
is.
Paladins, obviously. Yeah. More comments coming in the chat. We've got Nathan saying, "Is Goku in COD? No, therefore Fortnite is better." Well, I feel like
True,
you've just
true,
thrown the gauntlet down. And then
true.
you've got Connor O'Neill, and this is why I was laughing just off the chat now. He says, "This chat is a war zone." And I promise, I'm doing my best to rein the kids in, Connor. Don't worry. There's a lot of passion in the chat, and I love it. I feel like one aspect to the whole XDefiant debate we haven't mentioned yet is that this isn't the first time that Ubisoft has made a play for the free-to-play FPS shooter space. Obviously, they had a game called Hyperscape, which, to put it politely, died on its ass. I feel like it was live for like less than a year. But then the other question is that Ubisoft already has a very, very successful PvP shooter game, and the game is called Rainbow Six Siege. I think it released 2015 or 2016, and I'm kind of wondering why they're chasing the free-to-play Rainbow as opposed to investing in a community which are hardcore, invest in the ecosystem, and are constantly left, yearning for more content. Has anybody here got any experience with Rainbow Six Siege at all?
This is
Because
I
that's
was going to mention this
well,
actually. Is like when
there
I
you go.
started sort of speaking about there are so many games that already exist that they should be putting their resources into, like Rainbow Six Siege. Like, why are you starting a whole new franchise when you have this game where people are like desperate to get new content in? There are players hanging on to Rainbow Six Siege right now, still waiting for the game to be updated properly, be improved, and you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I hate when live service games just kind of like go dark for ages and ages and ages, and then suddenly they come out with a new game. Wow, I wonder where you guys went. Do you know what I mean?
Well, my question about maybe I've misunderstood because I didn't, and I know the XDefiant beta's come out. I've been busy playing Dead Island, so I've not been paying much attention. So is it the case where the characters in it are basically from their other franchises and then they all run around together, or have I misunderstood that completely?
No, you're correct. I think it's like Far Cry, The Division, Ghost Recon. They've all,
So
which again, yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, so that being the case, that kind of, and again, I don't know if Jasmine's piece that she has up, if not, it's great. You should read it when it comes out. But about how the similar way with Overwatch kind of like deals with their skins and things, like crossover they had recently or somewhat recently, that's kind of different. So Rainbow Six is quite, again, like a serious game, again, from my limited interactions with it. So in this case, you've got like the characters from Ubisoft franchises that you can run around and play as. So I guess if you like Assassin's Creed, maybe that will be in there. I don't know, but that's a bit more like a fun, light-hearted take just off the back of what this sounds like. I've not played it, and I did have the stream on the other day, but it was muted. I'm so sorry, Nathan and Matt. But maybe that's but maybe that's a kind of, they're going for more of that kind of Fortnite audience, because obviously Fortnite has so many collabs and Ubisoft's got all these IPs already. So it's the case of like just bringing them in a silly way without necessarily, I don't know how silly it is, without like pissing off people that are, oh really? But I don't know. I mean, it depends. Like it's kind of like a card crossover with like all the skins and things in, but like that, I guess, is my guess as to what they're doing with this. They can utilize our other IP and have them in there, and over the more serious, I guess, Rainbow Six crowd. But I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely some sort of cross-promotional intention there, right? In terms of how do we advertise our games that are coming out? Or wouldn't it be good if we had a platform where we could just throw them all in? Like, I'm sure if XDefiant was, and that's partially the reason why they took the Tom Clancy name off of it, because they don't just want to be limited to that sort of militaristic brand, as you say, Shabana. But if this is successful, I don't think it's without the realm of the possibility that we see like Altair or Ezio from Assassin's Creed, as silly as that seems, running around in like this heavily grayish sort of Call of Duty looking game, as Jasmine sort of hinted at earlier. This is probably a bit of a wider debate, but guys, we are mere minutes away from the Indie World Showcase Direct premiering at 5 o'clock, so make sure you stick around for that, because we will be reacting to it, providing my internet connection stays relatively stable. But this constant dilution of like Call of Duty Ubisoft titles, in terms, it was only a couple years ago where we had King Kong and Godzilla appear in Warzone, and every time I sort of see that sort of stuff, I kind of cringe because it doesn't, I used to be able to take these games seriously, but suddenly everything is trying to become Fortnite. Everybody's trying to become Fortnite, and somebody said it in the YouTube chat earlier that do you know what? I've just lost my point. But yeah, basically everything is Fortnite now. Oh, that was it. Ubisoft just followed trends rather than creating new ones, which is a shame considering the success they've had in Rainbow Six. But Jasmine, when you see things like cross promotion or like we're seeing here in XDefiant, as limited as it might be for now, do you think there's value in other games doing that, or should they just leave the sort of multiple IPs to something like Fortnite, which has a sort of art style that they can all be filtered through?
I think that Fortnite have done a really good job of it, obviously, and that's going to always make people try to copy it because that's just the way that gaming is right now. If they see something that they can capitalize off of and the money that Fortnite brings in, they're like, yeah, okay, we have to do this. And I can see where it kind of comes from, but I think it's so much of it comes down to if they do it well. And I just don't think any other games do it well the way that Fortnite do. So like Nathan is saying in chat, King Kong and Godzilla don't even fight. Don't get me started. That's like, if you are doing a King Kong and Godzilla feature in your game, why are they just standing there doing nothing? You know what I mean? Like, you finally got the opportunity to have these amazing characters in your game, and then they just stand there, and they're basically like buildings or whatever. Like they don't even do anything. So that's where I think Fortnite always wins, is that because they've just done it in such a way where it's like, okay, yeah, you get them in as skins, as like cosmetics, and then they do these like massive events around them as well. So that way, like, they change the whole map and they add like different points of interest, like specific to whatever event that they're running. Like Fortnite just do it so well, and I think that's why it makes you cringe when you see it in other games, not because they're doing these collabs, but because you know that they're not going to be executed properly, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah,
I
Shabana,
think
what
you've
do you
got a
think?
good point there. And I think, again, we talked about this with this Overwatch 2 content Jasmine's got coming, keep your eyes peeled. But it's difficult when you have an established series that, again, has a certain tone and goes back years and has a certain player base, because then, you do have to kind of like react to trends as well, right? Because a new game comes out, Fortnite's had great success. We saw it with Battlefield when they had the Christmas skins a couple of years ago. Everybody was getting livid. They were like, this is ruining my immersion. I mean, take out the hoo-ha around putting a female character in. You couldn't even have somebody in a Santa suit, because the issue now that you have is you've got the way Fortnite's doing things and, integrations with like the metaverse and collaborations and things, which is great for them and it's working. But you're really... You kind of have to choose whether you're going to leave your old player base behind in a series like COD or not. And it's very difficult trying to walk that line. So you're trying to appease people that do want a serious game. That's for kids. Like, your kids are playing your game as well, newsflash. But like, they don't want to piss them off too much, and they want to go after where the money is. But, that's not going to necessarily sit well with an established audience. So Fortnite had a advantage, really, because it was a brand new IP. They could mess around with it however they wanted. They knew they were going after a younger crowd. I mean, just because it looks that way doesn't mean it's just for kids, but ultimately that's the kind of mindset of people that play Battlefield and COD. It's a serious game and Fortnite is not. But ultimately, that's what the developers are trying to go for, because that's where the money is. And they kind of hampered themselves a bit. You can't cater to that serious crowd and have these super serious campaigns and then have a Santa Claus person running around in Battlefield without people getting upset about it. Like I said, that crowd gets upset about even just having female soldiers in, because it breaks the immersion. It's just like, do you understand that if a bullet hits you, you're dead? So if you can accept respawning, maybe just be a bit more open-minded about everything else. But it is difficult to try to, adapt those types of games to what this new generation wants. And I think they're always going to struggle with that unless you make a decision to cut off the old player base and just do something new. You're really going to struggle, I think. So again, this Ubisoft shooter, XDefiant, seems to be kind of trying to cater to both. So you've got your solid gameplay, but you've got all these different factions coming in that are from different IPs. So I think that's always going to be an issue that they're going to be dealing with, like COD and Battlefield and what have you. So that's my thoughts.
No, absolutely. Like when I was growing up, seeing like half these characters, appear in these games seemed like it. I think we're past the point of it being cool now because it's almost expected. It's like we've seen the Avengers assemble. Now what's next? And I guess that's kind of what we're looking for. But guys, we're literally a couple of minutes. Oh, by the way, have you played the XDefiant beta? I believe it's running until April 24th, but Ubisoft have been reporting server issues, so it might be extended beyond that so people can get in. But let us know what you think in the YouTube comments below. But we are now mere moments away, as I keep saying, from the Indie World Nintendo Direct Showcase. And we're going to use this time just to sort of like predict certain things that maybe we might see. Obviously, this isn't a first-party direct. We're not going to see anything new from Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. But Shabana, Jasmine, are there any particular indie games you're hoping we might get an extra look at all?
Take it away, Jasmine. I know you're excited.
Oh no, I knew this was going to come to me. I was hoping Shabana would start speaking, but she didn't. Oh, great. I'm going to be honest. I have no idea what to expect, and I'm not going to say anything more than that. I'm just going to say I don't know what to expect, and I'm looking forward to it. And then Aaron can give us his perspective of what he's expecting.
Oh, well, thank you so much. As I'm setting up the screen share, hopefully when it happens, we'll be able to go right in. And producer Will, if you can let me know what the volume's like as soon as we 5 o'clock, that'd be awesome. Well, obviously the big elephant in the room is Hollow Knight Silk Song. Is, you know, the sketch-based, hand-drawn indie Metroidvania that a lot of people can't wait for. The original game came out right around when the Switch first launched, actually. I think it was around about 2017, 2018 time. And the developers at Team Cherry have been really silent ever since, much to the dismay that it's now become a meme that every time one of these shows gets announced, everyone's like, Silk Song, Silk Song, Silk Song. But, and it's just about to start, I believe, Will. So if you could share the screen, that'd be awesome. And then I'm going to keep talking. But if you're in the chat, let us know what you want to see. Scott wants to see Pizza Tower, which is the Wario Land-like that debuted earlier this year on Steam.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Indie World. I'm Amber.
Can you guys hear that all right?
We can, thank you. Well, I can.
Yeah. I can hear it, yeah.
Lovely stuff.
Let's get the show on the road.
Are they going to do like a big long intro, or are they going to just get straight into it?
Oh, looks like getting straight into it, which is always good.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Many years ago, at the top of Mount Fugu, the cat god Miko.
And this is
Okay, game about cats. That's it. It's got me hooked.
You're in.
Game about cats.
You're in.
I'm in.
The farms in our village, granting each one good fortune and prosperity.
What sort of game is it, though? Like, it could be a first-person shooter for all we know at the moment.
A first-person shooter.
Shooting cats.
I'm hoping it's some type of farming sim. Always love one of those.
Same.
Banishing him from the land. Many years passed, and our village worked hard.
I love
don't
this
believe this
art
is a
style.
game we've seen before. Yeah, it looks cool.
The story of Nico drifted from memory. Yet there are some who still believe in the power of magic and myth.
This is literally what I'm doing in my free time all the time, by the way, just worshipping cats. So
You've got like 3 of them you've got to keep happy.
Yeah.
I like how the developer of this game is called Meowser Games. That's commitment
Oh
there.
my god. I love that.
You've kind of locked yourself into a certain style of game forever.
As the adorable Mineko in this narrative adventure sim, you'll do various jobs.
Okay.
Befriend the townsfolk and craft all sorts of doodads.
So I bet games like this, Jasmine, this is worth buying a 4080 for, right? You've got to be able to run that on high-end hardware.
is it just like
Just chilling out, I
an
think, in a
Animal
village.
Crossing type, just doing
So it looks-
whatever?
Yeah, it's like a narrative adventure, they said. So I guess just moseying around. Connor O'Neill in the chat says, reminds me of Broken Age visually. Yeah, I see
Yes,
that.
yeah.
But be careful, you might encounter some meddlesome.
Oh my
Rescuing
god, why is
cats in
Agent
a
Smith
field?
from The Matrix here? Yeah.
Setting up shop on Nintendo Switch September 26th.
I need to see more of that, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I am
Yeah.
intrigued.
Gonna make a note of the games we've seen so I can remember.
All my time at Porsche.
Did you play that, Shabana?
I did, and the Switch could not handle it, and it really buggered up my game. So I was like, forget this, but I was enjoying it initially. So I would recommend that if you like life sims, farming games.
Yeah, I got into the Story of Seasons games during lockdown. That was pretty chill.
I have not given them a go, but I feel like I probably would like them.
Yeah.
Fantasy Life, by the way, was a great one. The sequel came out on mobile, but this was good. My Time at Sandrock.
Portia has it all. Through a captivating story, rife with dozens of characters and side quests, you're tasked with restoring this post-apocalyptic desert community to its
I like these
former
sorts of
glory.
games because they let you like build a home that I'll never be able to afford in real life. So
Yeah, you're just like, oh, I'm buying new
Yeah.
furniture over a weekend. I'll never be able to do this.
living out my dreams.
Lots of customization.
I will say the hardware really couldn't handle it the first time around, so I don't know what they've done now to change that. But like my game just basically broke; it just was not having it on the Switch.
Does this look like a significant step up in visuals, or?
It does looks a bit different. But yeah, I think if it couldn't, this is I don't know how it's going to handle this if it couldn't handle the first one. Basically, based on this.
I'm just going to leave this out. I'm probably not.
We said on the
Nintendo Switch this summer.
we said on the podcast a few weeks ago, like how outdated the Switch chip and hardware set is. So
yeah.
Ooh. Is this like
The chef
Overcooked? But
cooking?
you're building the
Oh,
kitchen?
this is my type of game. These types of games where you're like running a little shop or a little cafe. I have like 500 of them on my phone. I'm not even joking.
I had one on my
TikTok
phone
advert,
that was
instantly
cat-based.
download it.
Jasmine,
I
you were worth there
always
be
download
nothing here for you. You're loving every game so far.
I didn't like the last one. But
My
this
Time
one
at
looks
Sandrock pass.
good. Yeah.
We should play
this looks
Overcooked.
good.
We should have an Overcooked session.
I think
Yeah,
that'd
that'd
be
be
really,
good.
really fun because I feel like that's a real bonding experience where you can get over a lot of
Yeah, you're either going to build a friendship or
anger,
destroy
yeah.
it playing Overcooked. Yeah, and I think it will be great, a team building exercise.
Don't know that
No.
we'd be able to work together anymore after Overcooked with me, to be completely honest
That's
with
the
you.
thing, yeah.
It's like Mario Party. There are some games you just don't play with certain people.
Mario Party's like pure luck. I played that like on the Switch
Sounds
version not
like
too long
something
ago.
someone who's bad at Mario Party would say.
Agree.
How can you
Just
be
saying.
bad? It's all dice rolls.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll take it
okay.
to the we'll take it to the Monopoly streets, all right?
No, listen here.
Play together locally or online.
Wait, this is multiplayer as well. Multiplayer
Yeah,
running.
and online.
Kitchen and front of house.
Maybe we
This is
should
going to
play
become my
this.
new like main
At the end
game.
of every randomly
I swear.
generated shift,
I love
you
these games.
acquire new
We've got Uncle
high-tech
Maheen in the chat, and yes, I did
appliances
call him
like
out. These
turbo
indie
ovens.
directs are
Upgrade
using
your kitchen
Steam
and
games
make
that
your
already
next
exist coming to
restaurant
Switch. He's
venture
right. I
even more
feel like this
successful.
game already came out.
Yeah.
So we've got Connor O'Neill that says Overcooked is a modern day board game. Modern board game arguments. Yeah.
When they do these showcases, is it normal to have to wait months and months and months for? Oh, I've gone big. Is it normal to wait months and months and months for these games to come out? I always thought that they announced them a little bit closer to the time, like but
Yeah, it's
these are
usually
all
a
saying
couple of
September,
weeks.
Months and
October.
months, yeah. A few months isn't too bad to wait, I guess.
Yeah, but October seems really far away. For them
I
to
feel
It's not
like
come
it's
like
out.
not, and
Xbox,
that's
where they're
frightening.
Oh God, don't say that. Time is flying and we're all dying.
Another cat game.
Another cat game.
Jasmine. Oh my god.
They know I'm
Jasmine.
watching. They know I'm watching.
They do.
Place pieces
Oh,
on the
but this is like a
board.
puzzle game. I'm really bad at puzzles. Like embarrassingly bad at puzzles.
Adorable cats.
Oh, but
we
it
can
lets you
pet
pet the
them.
cat.
Pet
We can
cats.
pet
Okay,
them.
I'm in. I'm in.
He's like, forget these puzzles. I'm just going to be pet cats all day.
Master quilt maker.
Get cozy with up to 3 friends in local and
This looks
online
kind of like that
multiplayer.
Dorf Romantic
Okay.
game where you're slotting
Matches
different
against random
shapes
players.
around.
Or
match
try your
tiles.
hand at weekly challenges.
Yeah, I still
You
wouldn't
can
be able to do
also
it.
take some time to
You can
customize
adjust
your
the cat.
Okay.
Okay. So I can make it look like my cat.
Wear a hat.
Oh my God.
Forget
I'm
the
in.
game.
I'm in. I'll be in the customization screen. I'll do a stream of that one. It'll be another menu stream.
Oh, Monster Prom? Is that what this is? No. It's like a Guitar Hero-like game.
Oh, it's a rhythm game.
Is there a cat in it? That's what we want to know, Nintendo. I was so into Guitar Hero and Rock Band back in the day. Like, I kind of miss those times.
Oh, I loved Guitar Hero. Like the little
It was
plug-in thing you
great.
get on your DS. I would used to play it all the time.
Oh, but that killed your hand, though. My wrist was like...
Yeah,
oh.
every single day I'd just sit there playing it, and I'd go to my mum afterwards and be like, "Oh my God, Mum, my wrist is really hurting," and she'd have a go at me.
Ooh, Rift of the
No sympathy at all.
Wow, this game has some sick beats.
I can tell. You've been bobbing your head for a while. In this spin-off of Crypt of the Necrodancer, you've still
Oh,
got
so it's
roots
another
to the
spin-off,
rhythm,
because we had a
but it's
Zelda
got
spin-off
new
for Crypt of the
musical twist
Necrodancer,
with
Cadence of
land-based
Hyrule,
combat.
and now they're doing a
Monster
rhythm game.
from
That's cool.
flying at you.
So match the on-screen prompts to kick them to
I feel like
the
rhythm
curb.
games are Nintendo's thing, right? There was, what was that other one that's got that big onion man and you pluck his disgusting onion hairs out?
Onion Man?
Yeah, he's
Ooh.
gross and he makes me want to vomit. And like you pick out
What?
nose hairs and really weird things. So does someone know what I'm talking about? Please tell me.
No.
It's a
Scott's
Nintendo.
in the chat though. He says,
Yeah,
Oh, go on.
3DS. Go on, Scott. Sorry,
Yeah.
in the chat.
Scott says Necrodancer Cross Rhythm Heaven. Holy, my game of the year.
Maybe it was Rhythm Heaven.
But I
Maybe
need to
that's
know
what it
that
was.
onion rhythm game. Oh yeah,
It's
you're right
gross,
with the
it
loads
makes
of
me-
mini games, right?
Yes, yeah. But the onion one's gross. It makes me sick.
For a little to the left. Get
This game also has a cat in it, Jasmine.
Does it?
Just FYI. Yeah, basically it's like loads of puzzles where you have to straighten things up, but there's a cat that like moves things out the way
Can
and
you
messes
imagine?
it up.
Oh, there he is.
In a bowl.
I love him.
Cute.
He's a big boy.
Nintendo Switch this June.
Dig into more roguelite puzzle
Oh,
action
what a great
with the
game this is.
Shovel
Shovel Knight
Knight
Dig.
Dungeon Puzzlers Pack.
Oh.
Oh god, not more puzzle games. More puzzle games that I look at and know I won't be able to ever play.
Test your puzzle prowess with Quandary challenges and make your way through the perplexing halls of Castle Quandary. You can also pay Mr. Hat a visit for
Just
over
play
20
Dr. Mario and get it over with.
I've never played Dr. Mario. I was always a Dr. Robotnik's
What?
Mean Bean Machine guy. Yeah.
What's wrong with you? It's great.
If this is a cat, oh,
I thought it was going to be a cat. I was like bracing myself for it.
People will be going doolally over this though. Cult of the Lamb. Those people loved it.
I haven't played it, but everyone absolutely loves it, right? Has anyone else given it a go?
No, I haven't
played it at an
but I've
event
heard
once.
so much about it.
Yeah. I played it at WASD. It was pretty fun. There's no Hades. I'll say that.
Plus a new unlockable quest. And after beating the game, keep the faith going with the new permadeath, gauntlet, and boss rush modes. This free update.
I'm just
I
not
love
the
the
type of
art
person
style.
who cares about that. Like, I'm not going to make it more hard for myself. Like, I've got limited time with my day. I'm not going to make it even more difficult.
Yeah, I literally go for the easiest route possible. Finish the game as fast as possible. And people are like, oh,
Yeah.
but you didn't explore this and this. I'm like, I don't care. I finished the game. That's it.
Yeah, I'm out.
You can't. How many times have you finished League of Legends, Jasmine? Just out of interest.
Oh, you don't. That's why I still play it. Haven't been able to finish it yet.
Trying to give people the experience of
You've never
finding
rolled
something new in
credits.
a place they've already been before. Pretty much.
Does anybody watch Donkey's videos on YouTube?
I haven't for a
I
while, I
used
will
to,
say.
Yeah,
I hope
long
you enjoy
time
Animal
ago
Well
in
when
my
it comes out on
past.
Nintendo Switch. Thank you.
When you were like 2.
Oh, yeah.
Well.
Oh,
Sounds
this
like
looks
you're
good.
ready for Animal Well. In this atmospheric pixelated world,
Connor O'Neill in the
you'll
chat
search for
says easy
treasures
mode
that
for the
gradually
win.
uncover
Yeah, we don't
hidden
discriminate
secrets
here at the Mirror Gaming.
where
You play
build
games however you want to play
entirely
games.
up to
Perfect. So I shouldn't need to worry about anything dangerous.
I like the CRT filter this
Yeah,
game has
about that.
over it.
You're
That's
not
cool.
alone in this labyrinth. Many interesting
CRT
creatures live
television,
here.
Jasmine. They
Some
were
might be
they
hostile
had massive
oh my
backs.
gosh.
Sometimes you pick up
Thanks for that.
a number of ways, like making a quick getaway or having friendly creatures.
They're actually quite
help
rare
you out
these
in a
days. I
pinch.
always see people on Facebook
And speaking
Marketplace.
of
They're like, "Who
items,
wants the
there's a
CRT?
lot to
CRT?" And everyone's
uncover
like,
here.
"Me."
So get crafty with
So
your
they're not making
items
them
and see
anymore.
what you find.
Facebook Marketplace is a cesspool of crazy people. Just putting them out there.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
it really
disagree
is.
with you.
Can I have it for free? No. Can you deliver? Definitely
Yeah.
not. Read the ad.
This one is coming out next year. Oh my god.
Oh, really? 2024?
Yeah, it said early 2024.
Come on, Donkey. What's taking so long? Ooh.
Colouring in? Is there colouring in happening? What is
Oh, it
this?
looks a bit like chicory. Oh.
You know, all I want is
I'm
another.
That's
All I want is another Scribblenauts. Is that too much to ask for?
Puzzle exploration game.
It
I
was
feel
fun,
like they have
actually.
made a Scribblenauts for Switch and nobody bought it.
Wait, have they?
There
It
is
did,
definitely
yeah,
a
it did release on
Scribblenauts.
Switch, right?
Oh no, did I miss it?
I don't think it was like the best
I
of
would
the
have.
series.
I
though.
would have kept the franchise alive by myself.
You're like, bring out a battle pass. I'll support you develop
Yeah,
it.
literally.
Scribblenauts Battle
Different
Pass when?
size pens.
Scribblenauts Mega Pack Nintendo Switch.
For different time ticks.
Wait a second.
Well, that's your evening sorted, Jasmine.
Yeah, I'm done. There we go. 25 quid. You get 2 remasters of the older games. Bang. I'm done.
Nice.
Oh, that is good.
No one's hearing from me for the next 2 weeks.
Sounds like a timeless experience.
This looks sort of
Set your
cool.
alarms to crime o'clock.
I disagree. That did not. I've no idea what's going on, and I
Yeah,
don't
no,
care.
same.
Yeah, we were talking
Same.
about Scribblenauts at the time. Scott in the chat says Melee fans have taken them all with regards to CRT televisions. Yeah, that might be it. Getting on the old GameCube.
These titles are not only a celebration of the original game.
You should have about 7 or 8 minutes left of the direct.
The origin of so much of our game's visual identity.
So far, I'm not buying anything. Thoughts? Anybody else?
Not even the cat games?
I'm gonna let you buy the cat game first, and then you tell me, and then I'll buy it afterwards. if it's any good.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'll definitely play Rift of the Necromancer, but are you telling me, Shabana, that you're not playing My Time at Sandrock?
Let's see if the Switch can run it before we start getting too involved.
I'm sure it's going to come to other platforms. I don't know. Maybe it's an exclusive.
Yeah, but I don't want to play that on my PS5. That's a Switch game. There's a handheld genre, and there's, you know. I'll just no, I'm not buying one. I'll try and get one. I'll be like, can I review a Steam Deck? Even though Nathan's already got one. And,
this game looks super beautiful. I got to see it at Gamescom last year, and it's like a little Metroidvania. It's cool.
It does look nice.
Enhanced visuals and 10 extra challenge levels.
Both Teslagrad 2 and Teslagrad Remastered bolt onto the Nintendo Switch system later today.
There's a lot of Scribblenauts love in the chat. Keep it coming in, guys.
Oh, there we go. This is the one that's coming out later today.
I'm playing that Tesla 2, Teslagrad 2.
Oh.
Did you ever play West of Loathing, Jasmine? Just from the because there's people that look like Scribblenaut people, but neither did I.
No, I didn't. This looks like my type of game.
This looks like some sort of EBAM's World, like Newgrounds type flash game type stuff.
Government conspiracies. Come on, come on. This is me all over it.
Show us the cats. That was funny. Oh, there's a cat.
There's a cat. Oh,
there was one.
He was getting his butt scratched.
I'm done. I'm on it. What's this one?
Shadows Overloading.
Interesting.
Mobsters, monsters, and mysteries.
What's everybody in the chat? What game has stood out to you so far?
Another
Let us
cat.
know.
Sorry.
That's all right.
You need to point them out, Jasmine. Keep doing that.
If only we had like, well, a
There's another one.
beverage of choice. A beverage drinking game
Sorry,
every time a
I'm
cat
so
shows
sorry.
up.
I keep doing coming up as soon as you start speaking. I'm so sorry.
Ocean City. But he's nowhere
Oh,
to be
there's one.
found. While searching for him,
You can't count. 3 so far.
Four.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad.
Sprawling black
I have to check if any of those were cats.
No, they're just toads. I was like,
and eldritch horrors. There's also a ton of roles to play. March to the beat of your own nefarious schemes.
So this is like turn-based action, I'm guessing.
Or hold the curds of the cosmos in your hands as a cheese wizard.
The digital version of Shadows.
That looks really cool.
Ah,
Oh, it's
today.
available later today.
maybe you should do it.
The game will launch this fall.
Maybe I should. That looks pretty good, actually.
The Game Kitchen. These are the guys that made Blasphemous. That's cool. That is the one good thing about these indie world directs is you get to hear from the developers themselves as opposed to just some voice. A sequel
That's
to
why it's so fun
Blasphemous.
watching Nintendo Tree Houses. I remember at E3 when they used to do them. That was always my favorite to tune into because you get to see it hands on with the game and they talk about stuff.
You get to
Do it
see the
right.
Nintendo employees that would usually be locked away.
They set them free.
I'm literally messaging my friends now. Blasphemous 2 announced.
Hack and slash your way through legions of bloodthirsty foes and treacherous traps in this brutal
Please say it's coming
action
today.
platformer. Choose from 3 newly added weapons, each one deadly in their own way.
Wield the war sensor for slow but powerful flaming strikes. The rapier and
Oh,
dagger
this game is too dark.
lightning-fast precision. And the praying
It's
blade
very
for
bloody,
vicious
this game
and
as well.
versatile combos. By unlocking
Or it
weapon
used to be the
memories,
first one.
You'll learn more moves that'll help you survive.
There's not enough
When
bright colours.
did the first one come out then? What's the crack with this one?
Blasphemous 2,
Oh, okay.
slashing
Somewhere.
on
It
Nintendo
came out
Switch
2020,
this
I think. It's kind of like
Okay.
a Castlevania tribute, but with a Dark Souls tinge. Very hardcore
okay.
Metroidvania. Oxenfree 2. Here we go.
Jacob, 4 hours ago, a cult opened a portal above Edwards Island.
Riley, yes, but are we?
So these guys were recently bought by Netflix.
Have you seen anyone else around? We've been all over.
Netflix, everyone on the stream is available to buy. So if you want us, you know,
alone.
just putting out there.
There is no one else.
Riley, seriously, Riley.
Still no Pizza Tower, Scott. It's not looking good, mate. Just putting out there.
I think he's going to be devastated at the end of this.
Yeah, no Hollow Knight yet. No Pizza Tower.
Maybe they'll
Couple
close with
minutes.
Silk Song when they just like don't say anything and it just like ta-da. But we'll see.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. Everything so far has been given a date as well. They're not like saying just coming soon. I don't think.
But what she discovers is more than what she bargained for.
Set 5 years.
Did anybody play Oxenfree? It looked okay, but like it didn't grip me enough to give it a go, surprisingly. But
I did play the original Oxenfree. I'm kind of similar to you. I was like just bobbing along through the story. Yeah, it's fine.
For a shadowy cult attempting to open their own reality-altering portal.
While exploring this beautiful
Seems like there's a lot more mechanics in this game, though. Before it was just mainly tuning radios and dialogue options. So
some of them may have valuable info that can give you more insight into Kamina's mysteries.
Your choices will have an
I know what Jasmine's thinking. Not enough cats.
relationships.
Yeah.
there's not been a single cat yet.
Not
It's
enough
an
cats,
outrage.
too dark. It's my worst nightmare.
Can't see anything here. Look, for God's sake,
Yeah.
it's red.
Oxenfree 2, Lost Signals,
Ooh.
airing on Nintendo Switch July 12th.
Airing on Nintendo Switch.
I saw that. I heard that. Yeah.
Get a grip.
Thanks for staying with us so far. Before we go, we'd like to show you a sneak peek of
Ooh.
several more indie games coming to Nintendo
Several
Switch.
more.
Check it
So
out.
this is going to be like a montage
Sneak
sequence, I'm
peek.
guessing.
Yeah, with no
these aren't
information
gonna have
whatsoever.
dates and stuff.
Paper trail.
Oh no,
like a
another
puzzle
puzzle game
game?
that's gonna be too hard for me.
I like how these cutesy games are Jasmine's
You
like
guys
too hard.
Oh my god,
Hey!
a
Oh my
cat.
god!
I'm gonna
Okay,
get
then
stray.
Jasmine, this one.
Little Kitty, Big City. What a great name as
Look,
well.
he's holding a toast. Oh, I love it. You
photo
can wear
mode.
hats. Oh, I love it.
Scott, this is a breaker.
Get on it.
This blew up on Steam earlier
Rotator.
this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you find that the successes on Steam tend to not have that replicated on Switch? I guess it's a bit of a different crowd, right? If you've got a Switch versus...
It tends to be like a
PC.
case-by-case basis, because I remember when
Oh.
Hades was in
I
early
love
access
Escape
for
Academy.
Steam,
It's such a good game.
and when it came to Switch, it sort of reached another level. You like Escape
These do
Academy,
have
Jasmine?
dates, by the way. I was just gonna say, yeah, I do. I loved
Yeah,
Escape
yeah.
Academy. It was really good.
It's not Jet Set Radio. Is there anything
that
else?
it?
One more.
For today's Indie World. We
No,
hope
that
you
was
enjoyed
it.
everything from today's showcase.
A huge thank you to the indie community and indie
Well,
partners working on games for the Nintendo
thoughts?
Switch system. And as always, thank you for
Thoughts? There was a
I-
decent amount of cats in that. I'm happy.
Yeah. We saw like almost 20 games like touched upon there, which is an impressive feat, I want to say.
Mhm.
I'm going to scroll through a little bit, scrub through, as the professionals say. Are there any games that stood out to you? Anyone that you might even entertain playing?
Jasmine, after
Don't
you.
all jump at once.
Like...
I'm thinking about Shows Over Loathing. Shadows Over Loathing.
Oh yeah.
I thought that one looked good.
What was it
like the little
about that?
the Stickman game. Oh my god, I'm big. Woo. The little Stickman looking game. Just because I like those type of like turn-based games. This is like a really old example that I don't know if anyone cared about enough to even play. But it was like Mario Brothers in Time, Mario and Luigi Brothers in Time or something like that, like really old Mario game. And it was like one of those turn-based ones, and you could go back and forth through time. And that was like, ever since I played that, I was like, yeah, I love these turn-based games because I actually have enough time to think about what I'm doing, and I don't have to rush and panic and run around and melee stuff. Like I can just take my time. So then I like Stickmen games as well. I don't know why. Like I just really like Stickmen style games. So that's like both of those
Yeah.
combined. And there was cats in it, lots of cats. There's like 5 cats. So
I think it was Shadows over Loathing that hit the broke the all-time cat record in any indie video game trailer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I want to say Tesla Grad 2 looked awesome, which was the sort of like artsy. It's got like a Nordic theme to it, which I appreciate. I feel like that's an art style and a theme you don't get to see a lot of in games these days. Maheen in the chat says Partners in Time might have been the game that you're thinking of, Jasmine.
Yeah, that's the one.
With
Yeah.
Mario and Luigi Brothers.
Yeah.
From 2008,
Cool.
says Scott. Really old example.
Okay, 2008 for me, I was literally 6 years old in 2008, so that is really old. So I would say.
Yeah. Shabana, was there anything in the Indie World Showcase that stood out to you at all?
Maybe that night market game. I'd have to have a look, and I probably will have another look at my time at Sandrock, because my time at Porsche was fun, but like when my Switch started to just give up any attempt at running it, I was like, I'm out. I can't do this. So I'll have to see. It does look a bit different to my time at Porsche. But maybe it doesn't grip me. I mean, it doesn't look that exciting, but I do like those kind of games. So I'll see. So maybe there's those two. Everything else, I am not interested in at all, to put it politely.
Well, tell us what you really feel, Shabana. Come on. Stop holding back.
I was going to say, I do find it insane that they bring out so many games on the Nintendo Switch, because it's like such a common thing. They bring out so many games on the Nintendo Switch where the hardware just isn't optimized enough. And it's like, I know that they're trying to give these indie games a chance to like reach a new audience and stuff like that. But I just feel like either the Nintendo Switch needs to get better, bring out Nintendo Switch 2, please, or they're like, Nintendo needs to sort of do a better job of helping developers optimize the games properly. Because like, it's just really devastating when people buy games, because it's like such a common thing and then they don't work, and it's like it puts you off of the whole game and franchise rather than thinking about, oh yeah, maybe it's the Nintendo Switch that sucks. For a lot of people, they just think, yeah, that's it, I'm done, I'm not playing that game ever again.
Well, that's what happened with my time at Porsche, because it's like I invested a lot of time in getting, you've got to like fabricate machines to make something out. So there's a lot of like quests that you need to do a bunch of other stuff first, which would be fine. But when everything starts buggering up, and then it's just like a big insurmountable task then, and I'm just like, I can't do this anymore and put any more time in. So yeah, like Jasmine says, it can put you off. And now subsequently, I'm like, yes, normally I might have been, I'm going to get my time at Sandrock, but am I now? Maybe not. So yeah,
Maybe not. Maybe if it comes to another platform. But like you said, Shabana, that's a game where you'd want to play cozied up on the couch, sort of like on a handheld device, right? And but to Jasmine's point about certain Switch games, indie games on Switch, because you think like indie games, right? How hard can it be to get them to run on this system? But the system is, going on 7 years old now, and we saw that the new Cult of the Lamb update was showcased in that Indie World Direct. I remember at the time people complaining that the Cult of the Lamb just was chugging on Switch at the time, which is a shame, because that is the perfect game that I'd want to play on my Nintendo Switch. Honestly, Jasmine, it's got to be Little Kitty Big City as well. It's got to be a day one.
Yeah.
I want to see a day one stream on the Mirror Gaming YouTube channel in the comments, personally, for sure.
I'll be on that. I'll be on that. Have to get that approved first, but I'll be on that.
Yeah. I just can't believe the sheer amount of cats we saw on the stream.
There was so many. There was
like
so
a lot.
many. I'm like really, really happy. I'm going to be happy for the rest of the evening now.
Yeah, and all it took was all it took was tender developers to spend years of their life. So just as a summary, guys, we saw Minico's Night Market, which was that really cool papercraft type game at the beginning. My Time at Sandrock, which Shabana may or may not play, depending on how it runs on Nintendo Switch. We saw Play Up, which was a game that caught a lot of people's eye. And
Play Up. I completely forgot about that one.
Yeah, that's one I made. Yeah,
I might actually pick that one up. Thanks for reminding me.
Oh, that's right. That's what I'm here for. Then we had the Quilts cat game, Calico, which was kind of like the puzzly type one, but you could customize your cat, which was cool.
I think I'll get that.
And it's multiplayer as well.
Multiplayer as well. There was a lot of multiplayer games actually in this Indie World Direct. That was good. I know Scott's mentioned it in the chat already, but Rift of the Necromancer, that looks like it could be a cool game, specifically because there's only 3 lanes you have to worry about as the notes come down, as opposed to 5, which I feel like can sometimes put people off in terms of how complex it is. Then we had a Little to the Left DLC update, Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon DLC, Animal Well, which was the Donkey video game that everyone was complaining about. Why is it taking so long to come out? Sorry, Donkey. We had Crime O'Clock, which did nothing for us, which was that black and white game where you're sort of lining up things Crime O'Clock.
Nah.
I'm not sure if the name's the best either. Apologies, guys. Teslograd 2, which I will be picking up later today on my Nintendo Switch. I'm very excited. Shadows over Loathing, which we've talked about. Blasphemous 2, I feel like will be the standout surprise for a lot of people from this Indie World showcase, because that was a game that was beloved by many at launch when it first came out. And there was literally no rumors, no rumblings that this was even being made. So I think in terms of surprises, that'd be exciting. Oxenfree 2, and then, yeah, it was just the montage of games towards the end. So unfortunately, no Hollow Knight Silk Song, and what was the other big one? No Pizza Tower. Scott in the chat says, plus Bomb Rush is the only game I mentioned in our preview article that was actually in it. Well, you can't win them all, Scott. You can't win them all. That's why they call it predictions. Any more thoughts on the Nintendo Indie World Direct, guys, before we say goodbye to the lovely YouTube viewers?
Shabana, you have to go first this time because you keep making me go first.
Yeah, if you've got nothing to say, don't feel like don't force yourself. It's all good.
I've got so much to say. No, I think it was fine. Again, like I'm quite picky with my games, just because I'm pernickety and contrary, probably. But yeah, not a lot there that excited me, potentially, apart from my time at Sandrock, which again I'm on the fence about. So I'm not like super excited about anything. The cats were fun, but what are those games going to be like? We'll see. Jasmine will let me know. Jasmine, thoughts?
Obviously, I'm not a story game person. I feel that's the thing with a lot of indie games, that they're like story based. I'm really sorry to disappoint you, Aaron, but it's just the way that my brain works. Like, a lot of indie games are story based, right? So then I just end up not being very excited about a lot of them, which is why when there were those games that popped up that weren't story based, I was way more excited and way more into them, because that's more like up my alley type thing. So We'll see. We'll have to just see when they come out.
Dead Island 2 did not get confirmed for Nintendo Switch today either, which might have been a missed opportunity there. It's not coming to Switch on Friday. So if you think my time at Porsche would struggle, although the original Dying Light came to Nintendo Switch, I don't know if you played it, Shabana, but that runs amazingly for a Switch game. Yeah.
You're talking nonsense. I played that on whatever console that was on. I can't remember now.
I'm getting delirious now. Yeah.
I don't believe
anyway,
I don't believe it.
Anyway, guys, I think that just about does it for this week's edition of the Mirror Gaming Walkthrough. If you enjoyed today's show and you've been watching along, thank you for leaving a comment in the comment section. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. And don't forget to subscribe to the Mirror Gaming YouTube channel, as well as visiting Mirror Gaming at mirror.co.uk/gaming, where you can find a ton of reviews, previews, roundups, and articles for all the gaming goodness. Jasmine's laughing. I'm not even going to ask why. So yeah, until next time, guys, we'll see you next Wednesday for another Mirror Gaming Walkthrough. But until then, bye-bye for now.